Don't you always want to be the best you can be?
The Frankie Boyer Show.
What is this?
It's more than a lifestyle show. It's a show about living in today's world.
I think something is happening.
Frankie enthusiastically brings an amazing eclectic mix to the airwaves.
You got that right.
One of the reasons she's earned legions of loyal fans is very simple. When you listen to the Frankie Boyer Show, you just never know what's going to happen next. So listen for yourself. Here is Frankie Boyer.
And welcome. Hi, everybody. It is so nice to have you with us. Another full, fun program. Oh, my gosh. Our first guest today, Isaac Oates, has the worst job in America. So why do you have the worst job in America, Isaac? Welcome. It's nice to have you with us.
Thanks, Frankie. The worst job in America, that's pretty bold. So, I talk with lots and lots of entrepreneurs, and what we find is that, the things that they hate doing the most are things like payroll, compliance, all of the paperwork.
I'm laughing I'm laughing because as an entrepreneur, boy, did you hit it right on the head.
Yeah, no, we talk with folks all the time, and it's just not what they love. People need to spend time, differentiating their business and
right.
Just making, doing what they're good at.
So why do you love doing it, though? You love all these getting into the regulations and all of this stuff.
Sure. I think part of it is my background. So I spent, a long time at companies like Amazon and even in the military, which are these sort of like huge systems. But, what I found at the same time was that, if you could build a system that was really efficient, you could basically take it off of the plate of many other people. At Amazon in particular, we built these marketplaces where individual sellers could do things they could never do by themselves. And so, I think that, this is an incredibly pressing issue, in the United States in particularly, and, we really want business owners to be able to take advantage of that kind of system, even if it, it's lots of paperwork and whatnot.
Right. And I'm one of those entrepreneurs. I have been putting off I had a company do my bills for years, and she was the worst woman. She she was a lovely person, but she just was horrible. And I said, if she's going to be so horrible, then maybe I should take back my books. And at least I'm horrible, but I know at least they're my books, and I can own that, instead of paying someone to continue to mess up and not sign checks. And she was just really bad, really, really bad. So, but I am not devoting an hour, which I need to do every single week. Everything gets in the way, as you know. So tell us what the solutions might be for people just like me.
Yeah, it's the quintessential problem. You want it done right, but you don't have time to do it yourself. I think there are more and more solutions. Our product Justworks is, a good example of this.
Tell everybody what your product is, though.
Yeah, so we basically make it really, really easy for companies to hire and pay people. So you can think of us as like a command center for employment, for paying your vendors, for paying contractors, for just sort of managing the money that's coming in and out. And then on top of that, we're actually doing all of the filings and all of the sort of tax reporting that's required, so that you can look at a single dashboard online and know that everything is squared away. But behind the scenes, we're making sure that all the money and data is going to the right place.
I love it. And the company is called?
It's called Justworks.com.
Justworks.com. And so...
Because it just works.
It just works. I love that. It just works. How long have you been doing this?
So we launched the company about 18 months ago, and, we spent, the first part of that building out our initial product. But, I think especially in the past 6 months, we've been growing very quickly as more and more businesses are realizing that there just is a better way than doing this stuff themselves.
Right. And so I love this concept. I think it's brilliant because it just works. And I'm your normal, typical, entrepreneur who just doesn't want to, I don't have the time to do what I need to do in a day, let alone get all that stuff.
Right. I think, one of the things that we do that is it's so different from what you see out there, and it, until now has been inaccessible to small business owners and entrepreneurs is that we do this thing called co-employment where, when you work with an employee in particular, we're actually able to file a lot of the returns and other reporting under our EIN. And so, the way it sort of looks to the government is that, we have lots and lots of employees and your business might not have any. And this is all, this has been happening for a long time. There just hasn't been a sort of tech-enabled way of doing it. So, it means that as an entrepreneur, you're not getting all of these letters from the state and the federal government sort of telling you about, tax rates and things you owe and all of that. Like, instead it's coming to us and then we're paying it back out. So, we see our companies just don't spend a lot of time worrying about it.
So how did you left a very, very lucrative job to do this, so you're obviously very passionate about this, Isaac. How did it come to you? How did the vision for this come to you?
Yeah, so, as I mentioned, I started off my career at Amazon working on a lot of payment systems, and I left Amazon about 5 years ago to start a startup here in New York, and one of the things that I did, as many entrepreneurs do, is I set up payroll, and it was just this, we went with a very large provider, and it was just one of these sort of like flashing back 20 years kinds of things where all of a sudden I just asked myself, like, how is it even possible that it is so complicated to send an employee a paycheck? So that was sort of my own experience. And then over the past couple of years, as I've talked with other entrepreneurs, I found that it's just one of those things, just like you were mentioning, that they're so frustrated about. And so I thought I could take a lot of what I have learned over my career at companies like Amazon and Etsy, where you're creating these platforms for small businesses and even individuals and kind of aggregating them together into something where, it's much more efficient and where they can kind of focus on what's important and you can deliver services.
It really can be the downfall of a small business, especially when you're in a growth mode and you don't have time to do what needs to be done.
I think it's not just time. I think it's knowledge. So many businesses, especially new businesses, there are a lot of intricacies around these kinds of things that they just aren't that obvious. Like, we see people all the time, especially when they're first starting out, pay an employee as a contractor, for example, because people think, well, great, it's just on a 1099, it's no big deal, but actually there can be these huge ramifications down the road. Or not paying an intern and saying, like, oh, well, I have an unpaid intern. Actually, there are a lot of rules about whether you can and cannot pay interns, and, people get tripped up on stuff like this all the time.
Yeah. So it's all of those rules and regulations that, how would we know all of those things? It's not what we specialize in as entrepreneurs. And most entrepreneurs really and truly do not like the details. And that expression, the devil is in the details, and that's where we go, that's our downfall.
Right. I think a huge part of it is, frankly, so much of this is sort of government requirements. And you look at the businesses we work with, and let's just say you're a small business in a tri-state area anywhere. You easily could be dealing with 4, 5, 6 local state governments, plus all of the requirements that come with them. And it's very difficult to know what you have to do, and none of those governments is really on the hook for telling you everything. And so, we look at ourselves very much as this advocate for the entrepreneur, where even if you have employees in a bunch of different states or cities or what have you, we are there with you, kind of showing you what the requirements are, or better yet, just taking care of them so you don't even have to worry about it.
Right. How do you do the pricing? Tell me how that works.
So we have 3 products, or 3 pricing plans. So we have a starter product, which is built for folks that are just getting started, and we don't do employees with that. We just pay contractors, and we file 1099s, and it's actually free because we know that when you're first starting out, you're not trying to pay for a lot of different things, and we think that's a really helpful product that we can offer. Beyond that, we have a standard product, which is essentially a payroll product, and it's a great product, but you still have to do a lot of the things yourself. And then what most of our customers ultimately choose is our premier product, and that's what I was talking about with the co-employment, where we essentially are filing under our tax ID. And so that's $75 per person per month, and for that fee, you essentially don't have to worry about any of this stuff anymore.
I love that. That's so affordable.
Yeah, we've tried. Traditionally, these have been priced much more expensively, and a huge part of what we're trying to do is bring the benefits that larger businesses and enterprises have to the smaller businesses. So, for that $75 a month, not only are we able to bundle in things like workers' comp and disability, which is no one's favorite topic.
This is huge. I think this is, you know what, we're going to have you back because I have to tell you, this is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, Isaac, and congratulations. I think this is, and it makes sense because it just works.
Awesome. And Frankie, thanks so much. It's great to speak with you.
Thank you so much. And is there a number you want to give besides the website?
Ironically, I don't even have it on me. So I would say the best way to get started is to go to justworks.com.
Justworks.com. We'll do it. Thank you so much. We'll be back in a moment. This is Frankie Boyer. Stay tuned.